Hello everybody, I am excited to bring you a highly requested video. I am going to share the different types of ink blending tools and brushes. Before I get started, if you like this type of video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, I hope you subscribe. Also, leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite ink blending tool or brush is. There is several different types on the market, and I think each have its own technique that you could use it for. But today I am just going to show you how they ink blend straight onto cardstock and then also with a stencil. I am using Neenah Solar White 110 cardstock for this demo, I guess, here or this video. That's very important because the different types of cardstocks is going to react differently depending on which ink you're going to be using and which tool you're going to be using. There are so many different factors that play in to the types of ink blending, different techniques, how they work, all of that sort of thing. But I am going to be using two different types of inks. So the first is going to be Distress Oxide ink. The second ink I'm going to be using is from Simon Hurley. He has amazing dye inks, and I'm going to be using those today. I also think it's important to mention that, all of these tools are, depending on which one you like, is all up to your own opinion. And it's definitely important to find one that's comfortable for you, especially if you have trouble gripping items or you have arthritis. I know lots of people that craft have issues with their hands, like gripping things, and they find certain tools hard to use or they cramp up their hands. So I definitely think that looking into different types of tools is important. I do want to say that Pink and Main and Altenew has come out with, I think, the solution. I haven't used it yet, but I've seen it, and it is kind of like the makeup brush, but the handle is on top like a regular blending brush. So it's kind of a mix between the two, and it looks amazing, and I definitely will be checking that out and getting it as soon as it comes available and letting you guys know my thoughts. So I thought it was important to grid the paper so that I can keep track of what tool I'm using and which ink I'm using. I am going to give you guys an up close look at each tool before I get into the ink blending. The first one is the ink blending tool from Tim Holtz. This one is circular. The original was rectangle, but it comes with a handle, and then you have the Velcro with the foam on it. And these ones, you really need to have the foam saturated with ink in order to do a nice ink blend. All right, the next one is from scrapbook.com. These are the Dome ink blending tools, and they are pretty amazing. At first, when I saw them, I'm like, how much better could they be? They just glide so effortlessly onto the paper and blend really, really nicely. There is 3 different layers to the top portion of this tool. So there is the dome foam, which that's where the ink is. And then there is a really stiff middle part of the tool, and I think that's foam as well. And then there is the felt that velcros to the handle. And next is going to be the makeup brushes. These have a long handle, and these come in all different sizes, lots of different brands. You can get them at the dollar store even. But these probably are my favorite. Well, these are my favorite. I won't say probably. They are my favorite tool to use. But I do use it, I hold it at the top of the brush. And I think that's where Altenew and Pink and Main had this bright idea to put the handle on top instead of using it having the long handle. So I will definitely get those. But the next brush is the blending brush from scrapbook.com. These are more like really fancy paintbrushes. That's what it looks to me. These are pretty amazing for very light, airy ink backgrounds. And I will get into why I don't think that they're that great for ink blending, like two colors together, once I start blending out all of the inks. All right, the next one is the stipple brush. That's what I'm calling it. It's little stipples or like very hard bristles, and it comes with two different ends. And these are really great for lots of different things. It's from Nuvo, and yeah, that is a closer look at each different tool. If you have any questions about a tool, just let me know. If I left anything out, just let me know in the comment section down below. And there is probably lots more blending tools that I didn't mention, but these are the ones that I have. All right, I am starting off again on Neenah 110 Solar White cardstock. I am using the Ranger blending tool here. I am also using Distress Oxide ink, and the colors are Peacock Feathers and Seedless Preserves. You can definitely get a nice ink blend with these, but I found for me, my hand was cramping up a little bit. And you also need to try and have a smooth surface underneath so you can start off the paper and work your way onto the paper. Blending two colors with this tool was pretty easy. Again, it's just preference, I think. It definitely does work, and sometimes people like the original tool, and that's totally fine. The blending tool from scrapbook.com is just, you know how things have to evolve as time goes by. This is definitely a tool that I think, I don't know how they thought of just adding that dome on the top, but it is genius. I have to say, it just glides so nice on the paper, blends so effortlessly, and it's just really great to blend two colors together. Again, my opinion. All right, the next tool is my favorite, which is the makeup brushes. And I did get a little bit of dye ink into my Oxide ink, which I was kind of freaking out at this point, but I just took a paper towel and kind of dabbed it up as much as I could, and I think all is well, hopefully. Um, I was really worried before about contaminating two Oxide colors together, but after going to Creativation, uh, Tim Holtz said that it's okay if you get a little bit of Oxide ink colors together. Definitely not, you don't want to mix dye inks with oxides or oxides with dye inks. Those two should not go together. So if you are doing two different techniques with two different inks, like a dye ink and the oxide ink, you definitely need different brushes. Anyways, all right. So I am going in with the peacock feathers, and then I'm going in with the seedless preserves. And these are just the color, the saturation. I don't think that it could get any better with the makeup brushes, and the price point on these is just amazing. This is not to sell, to like push you to buy a certain tool or product. It's just my opinion, and I can't say enough good things about the makeup brushes. It's just genius of someone to think of, hey, I'm going to use a makeup brush to ink blend. All right, the next one is the fancy schmancy paintbrush, is like I said, I like to call it. I don't know why. And this one is really nice for a soft, subtle background look. Like if you're doing clouds or, a scene or something like that, this is definitely a nice tool to have to do a nice, subtle background. For ink blending two colors together, I don't think it is the best, although it does work, but I don't think that I would use this to blend two colors together. That's just me. Some people might prefer that, but I am going to move on to the next tool, which is a Nuvo stipple brush. And this one, again, is probably for a very light, airy, subtle, one color background. And I did find that when when I was ink blending and moving the brush around, if I kind of fanned out the bristles, it worked a little bit better. So I definitely think that this is a good tool to have if I was going to be doing a one color background, very light, subtle, stenciling or something like that. But to blend two colors together, I would not recommend this tool. So that was a quick look at ink blending straight on paper with the different tools. And you could see each have their own different look. And again, depending on which technique you're wanting to go for or what look you're wanting to go for, I think there is a use for each and every single one of these tools. But if you're, just wanting to get one or a couple, hopefully this will help you decide which one to get. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is ink blend straight onto paper with dye ink. And I changed out all of my foam pads and all of my tools so I am not contaminating the dye ink with the Distress Oxide ink. It's very, very important. All right, so I am using the Simon Hurley Create Remember Me dye ink and also the Triple Berry. These ink blend very, very great together. I love the dye inks from Simon Hurley. These two colors are my favorite though. And I am first using the Ranger blending tool. And you could see it works, but you do get a little bit of a harsh line. You could definitely work more color into that. But I was trying to kind of keep each tool to a certain amount of time so that, you could see, okay, this tool ink blends perfectly in, a minute versus 30 seconds. So hopefully that will help you as well choose which one you want. Because if one tool takes twice as long as the other tool, time is everything, so you definitely want to get one that is a little bit easier to use and quicker to use. All right, the next tool is the domed ink blending tool from scrapbook.com. And again, I'm using the Remember Me and Triple Berry colors from Simon Hurley Create dye inks from Ranger. He came out with a bunch of new colors and stamps and different things like that. And they looked amazing at Creativation. But all right, so I am ink blending the two together, and I did not change my ink pad because when you're using dye inks, you don't have to worry about contaminating the color as you do really with the Distress Oxide inks. But you definitely don't want to mix the oxides with the dye ink. That's a big no-no. You will definitely ruin your ink pads. As you could see, it gives a nice look of, nice blend of color together. And I didn't really get any harsh lines either. All right, moving on to the makeup brush. Again, this one is just my favorite. I don't know if I could really, for everyday blending use, I'm definitely going to be using the makeup brushes for both the dye inks and the oxide inks. But again, it's personal preference to you. If you like something else, I definitely would like tips for the different tools if maybe there is a way that I'm not thinking of to use them, or just I love hearing everybody's favorites and their not so favorites. It's nice to see what everybody's preference is. All right, Callie wanted to come say hi. She was wondering what I was doing. All right, I'm going to move on to the large, that's what I'm calling it on my paper here, the large scrapbook.com blending brush. When using the dye inks, it gives a very subtle, soft look. And again, there is definitely a place for these. If you want a nice, bright, bold, ink blended background, you would probably go for a different tool. this one is not going to be it. I did find that ink blending two colors with the dye inks with this brush worked better than trying to blend two oxide inks together. As you could see here, there's a nice fade between the two, and it was really, really nice look. All right, the next tool, or the last tool, is the Nuvo stipple brush. And this one is going to give a nice, subtle, soft look as well. And again, when I was using this brush, I found that fanning out the bristles, kind of pushing it down and fanning them out, helped a lot with trying to achieve a nice blended look or background. And I don't think that this one was as successful blending two colors. I don't think that you get enough ink on the brush to blend two colors together with this tool. But it definitely can be done depending on the look that you're going for. But yeah, that is a look at all of the tools. And now I'm going to get into using them with a stencil. And this video is quite long, so you can pause it, save it, share it, whatever you want to do. But I am going to now move on to using the inks and different tools with a stencil so you guys can see how it looks with the stencil as well. All right, I am starting with the dye inks this time. I am using a stencil from scrapbook.com. Before I left for Creativation, I had purchased a bunch of things exclusive to scrapbook.com. I love their products and they're just amazing. So I had to get some stencils, and this one is one of my favorites. And ink blending with the Ranger tool with a stencil was a lot easier than trying to do it straight on paper. And it just blended really great together. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It just did. All right, the next tool is the dome brush or dome tool from scrapbook.com. And again, I'm using the dye inks, Remember Me from Simon Hurley and Triple Berry from Simon Hurley. And again, these two gave a very similar look when using it with a stencil. And you got to keep that in mind, because if you don't really do full ink blended backgrounds, that might change which tool you get, because I think every single tool, when using it with a stencil, gave a really nice ink blended look, and each tool blended the colors very nicely as well. And again, I'm using the same Neenah 110 Solar White cardstock. And now I'm using the makeup brush. This one is still my favorite, but I wouldn't mind using any of these tools to ink blend with a stencil. All right, I am going in with the scrapbook.com brush, and this one was a little bit harder to get all of the little areas just because of the shape of the brush, I think. This one gave a nice soft look, like nice and airy. It was nice. So again, I want to keep saying it, because even if I say something 100 times in a video, someone will still ask me, what color did you use? What brush was that? So I'm trying to repeat myself. So if you find it annoying, I'm sorry. When I ink blended the Triple Berry into the Remember Me with this scrapbook.com brush, it was actually pretty amazing. The look was way different than the three previous tools, as you could see when I'm going to lift it up in just a second. And it was nice to have a different look. So I can definitely keep this. I'm going to keep these swatches so that I can see the different uses for them, because again, each one has a use in my opinion. All right, the last one, using the dye inks, I am using the stipple brush. This one, it gives even a more light and airy look. Uh, it was kind of pretty cool to see how little ink this brush or this tool picked up and how light and airy it looked. So if you are wanting to achieve, again, I'm keep repeating myself, but if you are wanting to uh, just do a really nice soft background, this one is probably the one to go for because it doesn't pick up a lot of ink, so you're not going to get a lot of ink on your paper. So you could see there, and it did blend the two colors together. I don't know what it is with a stencil. It's easier to blend two colors together than straight on paper. All right, we are moving on to the Oxide inks. And I don't know what else I can say about blending without repeating myself 1,000 times. But we'll see. We'll see what I observe while I am watching myself create. And don't forget to leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite tool for ink blending is, what paper your favorite is, what ink is your favorite. I want to know all the things, so leave it down below. All right, I am again using the same colors. These are my favorites. Reminds me of a mermaid. Seedless, Preserve, and Peacock feathers. And I did change out all of my the foam and all of my tools so that I do not contaminate the colors. All right, again, the first tool I'm using is the Ranger tool, and I found it again so much easier to ink or blend two colors together with a stencil. I'm not sure what it is. I know I said that before, but I don't know what it is that it makes it easier to ink blend two colors when you have when you're using a stencil. It's just mind-boggling to me how it works. I don't know. Anyways, I'm moving on to the dome tool. I'm losing all of my thoughts here. And I went in again with the peacock feathers and then blending in to that the Seedless preserves. And it gives a nice, perfect blend. I am moving on to the makeup brush. This one is going to give you, the makeup brushes are going to give you a more saturated look. Lots of ink gets pulled up and onto these brushes. So definitely if that is something that you want, a nice, really saturated inky background, you definitely want to go for the makeup brushes because the bristles, how fine they are and how many there are, holds a lot of ink. So I am just going to ink or blend the two colors together here. And you could definitely work this more to blend it a little bit better. But I was trying to, keep the time the same for each tool. All right, last two. If you are still with me, I am amazed because this is definitely a long video. And thank you for sticking with me. Sometimes longer videos can be harder to watch, but if you are still with me, you definitely probably needed to figure out which one you are wanting to get. All right, again, this one is nice, subtle, and airy. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just nice, light, and airy. So I'm going in with the peacock feathers and then the Seedless preserves. And I am getting a little bit more blue color on different tools depending on how much purple was on the tool as well. So yeah, just so you guys know. But when you blend the two colors together, you get the nice blue color, which is really nice. And it was pretty easy to blend the two colors together with the large scrapbook.com brush. All right, last tool is the Nuvo stipple brush. And this one it wasn't hard to use with a stencil, but it wasn't the easiest either. If you are looking for that really nice, subtle, airy background, this one is definitely the one to use. But I would suggest using dye inks instead of oxide inks because oxide inks are very concentrated color and you will get a darker look as you're going to see here. So again, very, I think, subtle differences between them, but definitely differences if you are creating a card and wanting a specific look to a card, then it will depend which tool you are going to want to use. I am just labeling these for future reference for myself so that I know. So the top is the oxide and the bottom is the dye inks. So I'm just going to give you guys an up close look, and you could see up close how different each tool blended out the color, and it's pretty amazing to see. Yeah, that's it, I think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more videos on ink blending techniques, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to let me know what your favorite blending tool is to use. And let me know also if you plan on getting the new Pink and Mane or Altenew blending brush. Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to show you the back here, and this is just straight blending onto cardstock. You can see the difference. It takes a little bit more work to blend two colors together, especially with the oxides when you're blending them straight onto the cardstock, but it can be done. I personally like using a stencil when doing backgrounds with inks. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it, share it, leave me a comment, and if you are new to my channel, I hope you subscribe. Also, be sure to check out all of the Creativation videos that I have. I will link a playlist in the upper right hand corner for you guys. I am just getting everything so that I can have a nice thumbnail. All right, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.